Right, so what is going on, guys, and welcome back to another video on this YouTube channel. And today, pretty much a bit of a different one. I've just watched Norwich lose 1-0 to Brighton. Yeah, they're pretty much relegated now, and that's why I wanted to talk about in this video just why Norwich City have been relegated or are going to be relegated in the very near future from the Premier League. So yeah, let's get straight into it. Now, for those of you who are not aware, my brother is a Norwich supporter, so I found myself kind of watching them quite a lot and almost treat them as if they're my second team over the last year or two. So I have managed to, like, you know, watch a lot of Norwich games, and I know everything pretty much about their players and how good they are and who's not good, and you know how they play and everything like that. So I feel like I can give kind of an unbiased but, you know, relevant view of, you know, just what's gone wrong with Norwich this season compared to last season when they got promoted, because they really just have been awful this season from all areas of the pitch. And the thing about Norwich that is a bit weird is they're by no means one of the worst teams we've ever seen in the Premier League, even though points will suggest that. But they are probably one of the most infuriating and frustrating teams I've ever seen play in the Premier League, simply because you can see signs of potential. They have a way of passing that is quite good to watch, and it's quite good in the eye. And there's just, for some reason, there's just certain individuals in the team that just keep getting games that just aren't up to the standard of what Daniel Farke wants to play. And that's why I really don't understand Daniel Farke's way of thinking, because he wants to play this expressive, free-flowing brand of attacking football. But there's no point when they have, you know, they have players like Buendia, Cantwell, Pukki, Godfrey, Aarons, Lewis, McLean, who, you know, are decent enough footballers who can play that sort of way. But then in the same team, they have the likes of Alexander Tettey, Josip Dermich, Tim Klose, those kind of players who just can't really, just aren't really naturally gifted footballers, and are more of, I don't want to be disrespectful, but more of like Burnley type players, where it's just, you know, physicality is all that matters, and not really able to play the ball that much on the ground. It's more up in the air that it suits them and stuff like that, but that's just the way it is. And some of the team selection, some of the decisions Farke makes, I don't understand his thinking, because first and foremost, he's persisted since the restart, he's persisted with Josip Dermich as the main striker, who is just not a Premier League standard player whatsoever. He's had like 2 shots on target or something when I've watched him since the restart. He offers Norwich absolutely little threat. And the likes of Pukki and Adam Ida, who's a young man from Ireland, sitting on the bench, and would offer them probably 10 times the threat that Dermich does. At least maybe Pukki, you know, hasn't been sharp since the restart, but he does at least get into the chances and does make chances. Rather, Dermich just doesn't really offer anything to Norwich. I will cut Norwich a bit of slack though, because they have been quite unlucky with injuries. I mean, first and foremost, Christoph Zimmermann, who, for people that don't watch Norwich, will presume that, you know, it's not a massive loss whatsoever, but Christoph Zimmermann is a huge loss for Norwich. I mean, I've seen it over the last year or two. He is absolutely instrumental to how that defence performs. I mean, Norwich's record with and without Zimmermann in the team is just it differs completely. And that's why I think Norwich have really struggled defensively this year, because they don't have Zimmermann next to Godfrey. Because Godfrey is not a great defender. He's a decent footballer, but he's not really a natural defender like Zimmermann. And the fact that he has the likes of Tim Klose, Grant Hanley playing next to him, who are not Premier League level defenders by any stretch of mind, I think that's really where they've struggled this season, is the fact that Zimmermann's been injured. He's a decent defender, and the good thing for Norwich is he won't get picked up by any Premier League teams, because for some reason no team seems to rate him that highly. And the thing about Norwich as well is they have certain players who will definitely work in systems of other Premier League teams and could definitely do a job for other teams. You think of the likes of Todd Cantwell, who's been brilliant this season for Norwich. Emiliano Buendia, who is a silky footballer. Absolutely, he's got so much flair and skill, it's ridiculous. And also, what I really like about Buendia is he's tenacious, he's gritty, he has a good work ethic, he likes to get back and help out the defenders and make the jobs for the fullbacks as easy as possible, and that's what I really like about him. And I think, like, his assist record as well is phenomenal. I think he will do a very, very good job for a top half team in the Premier League next season. And then obviously the likes of Max Aarons, Jamal Lewis, those kind of players have been mentioned, but one player I think could definitely do a job for a newly promoted team is Kenny McLean. And not only is he's sort of a bit of a workhorse in that Norwich team in the midfield, his job is solely, like Jordan Henderson's, is just to run and just, you know, put as much effort and energy into the game as humanly possible. But not only that, he's shown that he's a decent footballer this season. He scored the goal against Manchester City, of course, from the corner. And he does look like a team that could very well do a job for a newly promoted team that's just coming up into the Premier League. League, so whether those teams will spot him or not remains to be seen, of course. But yeah, that's why I say Norwich are one of the most frustrating teams I've seen in quite some time, because between both penalty boxes, they're not a bad team by any stretch of imagination. It's just that for some reason the end product of the team just lacks in all areas, and the defence is just absolutely dreadful. I mean, Aarons and Lewis are decent fullbacks, but not superior defensively, and the centre-back pairing is just a calamity in all kind of areas. The one thing I will say about Norwich that is a massive positive is they do have a very good chance of winning promotion back to the Premier League next season at the first time of asking, because they have some players that will sell for a lot of money. Like Norwich will probably raise about 50 to 60 million pounds on players like the likes of Buendia, Cantwell, Aarons, those players that I mentioned. But also the bulk of the squad will stay as well, so you think the likes of Pukki, Zimmerman, McLean, you know, Hernandez, those kind of players who are decent championship players, very good championship players at that, and yeah, not bad Premier League players at all, but just not quite up to the scratch this season. And to be fair to Norwich, I mean, it was a bonus that they even got into the Premier League in the first place, because I've been telling my brother this before, like he's getting really frustrated about how bad Norwich have been this season, and it was a miracle in itself that Norwich even got promoted in the first place. I mean, they spent £750,000 roughly in the transfer market. There's no hope in hell a promoted team is going to stay up with a transfer spend like that. And let's be real, Norwich were never expected to go up last season, because obviously they lost their main player, James Maddison, and with that money brought in a few players that no one had never heard of from Germany, you know, and all those kind of players, and they managed to just storm the championship last season. So it was a massive achievement from their point of view that they even got up in the first place. So that's why, you know, I'm kind of saying to Norwich fans that they can't really complain about going down, because the fact that they're in the Premier League in the first place was a massive W. And yeah, that's pretty much all I think I'm going to say in this video, because I want to get this video out as quick as possible. I'm going to be doing more of these kind of videos where I do post-match reactions for not only Chelsea matches. I want to turn this channel mainly into a Premier League based channel rather than just a solely Chelsea based channel. I like to kind of analyse the games and how other teams play, and appreciate the beauty of other teams as well as the not so beautiful parts, of course. And yeah, that's where I'm going to leave this video. I'm probably going to make a video post Chelsea versus Watford, which is in about 4 hours time from now, I'd say. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video, so see ya.